to join us this week. We have 3 USA Today bestselling authors. We've got Maeve Greyson, Alexa Aston, and Cerise DeLand. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So, Cerise, why don't we start with your book? You had a Lion's Den book come out this week. It's The Lion's Share, and it's the one with the bubbles on the cover.
Oh, yes. I love him. I take him everywhere I go. And he tries to step out of the tub. I have a lot of towels at hand. He's very dear to my heart. His story came to me really because of the heroine. I was happy to sign this contract and get in on Dragonblade. Oh, pretty soon. Sorry. Soon after I signed my first contracts with Dragonblade. This story is very dear to me because it is a story about a young woman who is married to a man who is a bully and a narcissist. And he was disabled during the wars against Napoleon, and he came home and she was his nurse, his caretaker, his everything. And he had treated her poorly before he went overseas. And when he came home disabled, it was even worse. And so our hero has known her and wanted her and knew to some extent the nature of the hero. But she, recognizing that her dead husband is well honored by all the things he did during the war, she says nothing to anyone. And so I wanted to write this story about a young woman who survives and learns how to live again with the help of a man who truly loves her and truly is a hero. And I cried when I wrote it. I said to my editor, I have to alert you. Every time I look at this book, I cry. And every time I edit it, so how many edits do you think we're going to have? She said 0. So I said, oh, well, okay, my tissue supply's in, good hands then. And just this morning, I got a review from one of my regular ARC readers, and she said, I cried. And I said, yes, okay. So anyway, that's my story
done.
about, that's my story about Sydney. I loved working on this concept. I have read so many of these Lion's Den books, and I think it's a great concept, and I was thrilled to be one of the authors.
I love that idea of a second chance at love and a second chance at finding yourself again, and a heroine that overcomes, what could have made her bitter.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones that we can really root for, the ones who still believe in good things, even though life hasn't necessarily shown it to them yet. So, plus heroes with bubbles,
Yes.
I mean, come on, that man is in a tub. I got the cover.
Yeah. I know.
I really wish that you guys could hear our group messages sometimes, or intercompany messages, because that one was like, you put the bubbles over the nipples. I'm still not going to be able to sell. I'm still not going to be able to advertise it.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate the effort, but
say, the cover. I said to Sean Morrison, who sent it to me, I said, I think that I could have written blah, 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 and this book would have sold. And she said,
He is quite delightful.
Yes, he is.
Quite delightful.
Yes, he is.
So, Maeve, you had a book come out this week, and it is A Scot to Love and Protect.
You did it.
I did it.
Yes,
And it's from the Once Upon a Scott series, book 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Series. Well, this is Valen's story. He's the baby brother. There's 3 brothers, and he's the youngest of the 3. And he is a mighty Gallagly warrior, and he has somewhat inherited the command of the warriors, because his eldest brother met his significant other and said, well, I'm going to go into training now. I'm going to do all the training now. And then his middle brother got kind of ill, sick, but he's going to be fine. Y'all don't worry about him. And so Valen inherited it. So he's a little insecure about it, but his lord and liege sends him to defend Claverack Castle, which is the Maxwell clan's castle. And because the only ones there are the widow Maxwell and her daughter and whatever men she's been able to scrape together. And he understands that she must be elderly because she has a grown daughter, and he's sure that they're just going to fall on their knees with gratitude whenever he and his mighty warriors arrive. Well, they arrive.
Boys so often think that.
Well, yes, I mean, he's a guy. He's an alpha male, so he's going to think that. Well, they arrive, and she shoots him because it turns out that she is not an elderly woman. She's quite young and vibrant and quite adept with an arrow and bow. And she is perched on the top of the dovecote defending her lands herself.
Oh.
And actually, she would have shot him twice. The first one missed because he happened to move in time. He bellows out shields, but the second one, when she realizes who he is and tells him to duck, he didn't duck fast enough. And it catches him in the shoulders. But it's not a significant wound. It's just enough to irritate him. And it takes him a minute to realize who she is, because he didn't figure that the lady Elspeth would be out there with her arrow, and so when he tells her to get back to the keep, or he whips her behind with the arrow that he just yanked out of his shoulder, he said, get back to your mistress. And then she says, just who do you think I am? And then they make the proper introductions, and needless to say, he's very drawn to her because she is a beauty, as is her daughter. And in fact, her daughter is the secondary HEA that happens in this story.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And
double.
She feels really bad about shooting him, though, because he did to save her. And they brought all their own supplies so they wouldn't eat him out of the castle, and so she's very grateful, and she wants to make it up to him by cleaning his shoulder and everything. He said, no, I'm going to charge you something else. And she asked him what, and he said, you're going to have to give me a kiss. Well, the kiss starts it all.
Well, of course it does.
Well, yes. And needless to say, the longer he helps her defend the castle, because she not only has the English on the outside that she's battling, turns out there's some enemies within too that he helps her battle. And the longer they fight together, the more significant that kiss becomes. And that's how our story goes.
Well, I love it that she shot him first, because you always have that you can kind of hold over him. It's like, I'm real sorry this happened, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't do it again if the opportunity.
That's right. You get out of line one time.
Where you're supposed to be.
Just remember.
So how many more books are in that series?
Now, this is the final one.
Is it? Oh.
3-book series. Yes.
Oh. Well, it sounds like so much fun, and I really do. You got to love a heroine that shoots the hero in the opening scene.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely.
So, Alexa, you weren't able to join.
Uh-oh.
Evelyn froze up now.
When you had your release a week.
Yes, I was in Montana. I was visiting my best friend. I try to go up, in the summer for a week or two, and I didn't know what we would have planned. And we were at Glacier National Park the day that we should have been filming and everything. So that's why I'm joining late this week.
Well, the pictures were wonderful. It was really cool to see the pictures.
Beautiful.
It's just so calming, so peaceful. It's kind of like my happy place, you know. So if I make it big someday, maybe I'll buy a summer place up there.
And it's Dubious by the Duke, and it's in the Second Sons of London series.
Yes, it's
book 5 of 7. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it sure is. The first 3 focused on 3 cousins, and books 4 and 5 focus on a pair of twins. Their dad works in the government, and he's number 2 to the administrator in Canada. And so the girls and their mother went over, and that happened to be about the time those pesky Americans decided to have a war. And so they're stuck there when they're supposed to be making their come outs and all of that. The 4th book, Minta, she's very outgoing, and she's just pissed that she didn't get to come back and make her come out. And so she does that in book 4. Sarah stays back in Canada, and she misses her twin a lot. So she, in book 5, makes her way to England. And by this time, her sister has already found her hero. And so they're very opposite. Minta is very extroverted, never met a stranger. Sarah is very reserved. I hate to use the word shy, because when she's around people that she knows well, that she loves, she does open up. But she's very reserved kind of girl. And so they're going to have a house party, one of the cousins in the first 3 books. And she is going to make sure that Minta's sister, her twin, is going to find someone. But before the house party, a local duke is in desperate need of somebody to wrestle his twin by blows. Actually, they're his brothers. He has become the duke, never thinking he would. He's come home from the military, from the wars. And his very unliked brother perished in a fire, and had never claimed these 2 boys and never done anything for them. And he's a pretty stand-up guy. And so he finds out about them. He goes, and their mother is dying. And so he takes on the boys, but they are all on wheels. Let me tell you, readers have fallen in love. I mean, they love Win and Sarah, but they can't get enough of Freddie and Charlie. These boys are mischievous. They're rascals. And Sarah falls in love with them first, and then she falls in love with Win.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Well, I don't know how much fun you would think they were if you were in charge of them. They've run off enough governesses before she volunteers, but obviously they're going to wind up making a family 4. And then in the epilogue, you're going to find they'll also have kids of their own. So,
okay. Yay.
And then we have the epilogue cleans it up, you know, and
Yes, I love an epilogue. Epilogues are just, I don't know, they're the icing on the cake for me. You know, if I finish a book, I'm happy, but I like to look into the future. I don't care if it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. A couple of epilogues I've even done as far as 20 years into the future, and showed the hero and heroine, you know, when they're very mature and it's one of their children getting married or something. So, but I do love a good epilogue. Especially at the end of the
story. How they're doing. Oh, and there goes a cattail. All right. That was Andy.
I have dogs that are voicing their displeasure in the background too. So.
Everybody's in the show today.
It is a fuzzy kind of day. Yeah. So, and we have Valued by the Viscount. Is that the next book in this series?
Yes, it's on pre-order now, and it's going to have someone that readers have been clamoring for. It's funny because I had planned this series to end with this 5th book, and Catherine Levesque kind of twisted my arm. No, can't you go 7? Can't you go 8? And you don't say no to Catherine. No. And so I was looking for who could be in 6 and 7, and kind of looking at some characters that had been, you know, dropped in the other books. And the Viscount, who values the heroine in book 6, he has been very unlucky in love. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, so, well, then we need a happily ever after for him.
Yes, we've seen him before. He's tried to romance some of these other heroines. They weren't meant for him, but he's just one of the good guys. And I thought, you know what? He needs his own happy ever after. And so I've paired him with a widow who was very unhappy in her marriage. And so this house party that I referred to, that Win and Sarah are supposed to attend separately, and they wind up getting together before the house party.
Reed goes to the house party and he'll meet Vanessa the widow there.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
So
when the
that
good
comes in
guys-
October, but it's on pre-order now.
I love when the good guys get the women they're supposed to end up with. It's such
Yes.
a good.
It's satisfying for readers. I know.
Yeah, it really is. So you said that one comes out in October. We also have the Midnight Requiem comes out in October. Are any of you ladies participating in that in the Dragonblade Halloween
am.
anthology? Are you?
Mhm.
Do you have a good ghost story for us?
Oh yes, and it's gonna go back to capturing her Highland Keeper.
Mhm.
So you'll get to catch up with those characters, and turns out that it doesn't really end with death. Things don't really end with death, and ghosts can be a definite problem. Yes.
Yeah.
The hero and the heroine do not die, nor do their children. However, someone who died in the book is going to be a problem. So
Okay.
Intriguing.
Well, ghost stories sound fun, and that one comes out. I think actually on Halloween at the end of October. So you can get ready for all things spooky. And then after that, we have the Duke and Winter coming out in December too. So it's another Dragonblade anthology. So.
I always pre-order the anthologies because so many stories for just 99 cents. How can you not?
I know it's such a good deal, and it's I had somebody said last year when the Christmas anthology came out that they were treating themselves to one a night, and so I was thinking that was such a lovely thing to do for yourself, and unless it's ghost stories, and then maybe it's too spooky to do, but I love the idea, but it's not. It's still like. I don't know. It's still hot here in the South. It's still appreciably hot here. But I was at Starbucks the other day and they do have pumpkin spice out, and I made pumpkin muffins. And I know maybe you said you got your fall decorations out. Is there anything you all are looking forward to as we head?
Yeah, I love the fall decor. I love the scented candles. I'm not so much into the lattes or anything. Cat here. Sorry. Anyway. I'm very much into like the scented the pumpkin spice candles or the cinnamon or nutmeg, the warm spices. I just think they make the house smell like home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My mom got me soap that smells like pumpkin spice for the downstairs bathroom. And it's like every time I walk in, I think this is so much better than Stinky Boys. It's so much better. Cerise, do you have anything that you're looking forward to at the fall?
Well, yes, we're going to Los Angeles.
After it cools down a little bit.
Yeah, right. Our son and his wife and 2 grandchildren live in Los Angeles, so we go, and we're thinking of taking one of those Hollywood house tours. I've been dying to do that, and they live not too far from Burbank, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But in the meantime, I'm working on my next contract for I have 2 new contracts with Dragonblade for 2 new series, and
exciting.
Yeah. And the first one is a series is called Matrimony! ! And during long before the Regency, and then during and then afterward, in various newspapers, people took adverts to be married.
I remember the publisher's marketplace announcement for this one. It sounded like so much fun.
Yes, and so we have a widow and her little 3-year-old boy and her very proper aunt. They have a newspaper. Originally, it's called the Fleet Chronicle, but then it becomes the Fleet of Heart Chronicle, because this is all they do. They take matrimonial ads and they investigate the people who respond, you see. And the owner, the publisher, has a cousin who is a Bow Street runner. And so they begin to see that it's quite necessary that they investigate some of these people who are responding. Well, this is the side story to strangers when they meet who fall in love for whatever reason. So it's great fun. Great fun to do. I have 3 in that series coming up, and then I switched to romantic suspense.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, and these are all real mysteries from the Regency period that have never been solved. And I solve them because we have a group of who go out and do that. Yes.
The dog likes it too.
I think that would be great.
Yes.
She thinks that's a great idea.
Yes,
We should all do
I know. I'm very excited to thank her for me. We can send her an ARC.
She would give it 4 paws, I'm sure.
There you go.
Oh, that sounds like you have your hands full then getting through to the end of the year.
Yes.
So, Alexa, we're doing back to school time. I'm so glad it's back to. Oh, you have no idea. I'm so glad it's back to school time. Oh my goodness. But I wondered, because you were a teacher in your former life, do you miss it when it starts, when things start to head towards back to school time? Do you feel that pull?
Not a bit. No lesson planning, no meetings, no grading. My daughter is a teacher, so I get to hear all of that from her side, but I sit and just kind of do the happy dance and just jam with glee as I sit in my little writing cave here and I do my thing. So no, it's just, I loved teaching. I get together the first Wednesday of the month with 4 other teachers that have all retired as well. And so we've stayed in touch, and we kind of do something special. This time we're going to tea in September, love a high tea. But no, I don't miss it at all. And the thing is, it was my life. I loved it. I love teaching, but I actually love writing more. I love creating people. I love interacting with readers. In fact, the first time I'm going to the HRR at the end of this month in San Diego.
I know, I'm so excited about that.
Historical romance retreat, where about 300 readers attend. And so, I've rented costumes from Period Images, who does a lot of covers. Our cover artist, Dar Albert, uses their models. And I cannot wait to put on some of these gowns. I can't wait to meet readers. I just can't wait to kick up my heels and know that I have friends in the classroom grading papers, calling parents.
Ooh, that sounded like neener, neener, neener.
Yes,
It had a bit of that flavor, didn't it?
I'm lucky. I mean, I put in 32 years. I had a great career. I really was someone who enjoyed what I did. I got up every morning and I liked going to school. I liked making a difference. But this is kind of my time now, and I'm getting to do something for me. And
that's lovely.
Readers are enjoying it as well. So it's a challenge, and it's fun, and it's a cool way to make a living.
That's lovely. That's lovely. I'm looking forward to HRR too. Maeve, are you or Cerise going to that?
Not this year. We had to put in a new air conditioner, so the budget would not allow the travel.
Yeah. There is always something there. Mm-hmm. I've been scrolling through Pinterest pictures, looking at embroidery and things. I'm kind of excited about the costume aspect of it, but then I realized we're less than a month out at this point. So.
Yeah.
But we will have, if you watch our social media pages, we will have tons and tons of photographs of your favorite authors doing all kinds of dodgy bits when we get to that point. So even if you're not able to go, you'll be able to live vicariously through the Dragonblade photos, I'm sure.
I'll be following along.
So what do you have coming up next, ladies? What's new on the horizon for you? I know, Cerise, you talked a little bit about your series that are coming up. Alexa, you still have 2 to finish in?
I have 2, yes. Valued by the Viscount is in October, and then I close out the series with the last book in November. But October book is on pre-order, November isn't. Next year, I have an 8-book series. It's called Suddenly a Duke. So that'll be what comes from me next year in Dragonblade.
That same kind of setup where the hero unexpectedly inherits a title and has to figure out how to do the fish out of water thing.
Yes.
I like that idea. I like that
Yeah.
setup. I like when somebody's thrown into a position that they didn't expect to be in. You know,
It's kind of fish out of water in a way. And in a way, sometimes a second son, a third son, you know, their destiny was somewhere else. And a lot of times in families, they're ignored because they're not the heir apparent. And so that almost makes them even more unprepared when they do come to the role, because they didn't have all of the tutoring or training at their, you know, father's knee, and they're kind of having to wing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have all the family expectations on top of that, and all that sense of duty and that sense of carrying on things, and you know, it's like that makes for a very interesting hero, I think. You know,
well, and then sometimes there's financial pressures too. You know, they're inheriting a mess. You know, a bankrupt estate, or you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's fun. It's a different way to play things, and each heroine in this series she is not suitable to be a duchess, at least in the eyes of polite society. You know, I have a Bow Street runner, I have a portrait artist, I have a composer, just all women that are doing different things. They don't really need these dukes until they realize they need these dukes. So
there you go. That'd be a great tagline.
I hadn't thought about it. You know, wait, let me write this down.
Write it down.
Right.
And then when I ask you, you can send it to me ahead of time before we're even in the deadline. You're my favorite person to ask for things because
the teacher in me, I'm organized still.
I know, and I get it, and it's like all easy to find. And if I need to go back and look for it, I know exactly where to look. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things. So, like I know recently I asked you something because I knew that if I ask you, I wouldn't have to think about it anymore because you would take it on and it would be
happy to be of service.
I know, I love that so much. It's the best. The best. So maybe you've got a story coming out in October in the Halloween anthology. What else do you have coming out?
In December, book. Let me check my board here. Book 6 in the. I'm old and forgetful. I'm sorry. Book 6 in the Time to Love a Highlander time travel series comes out, and it's loving her lonely Highlander, and then I've got to write book 7, and then next year I'm going to try my hand at Regency. I've got a
really.
Oh, I think you'll do great at it.
So we'll see how that goes.
How exciting.
I did about 20 medievals before and some Westerns before I jumped to Regency. And I was nervous about doing it, and I found I really enjoy it.
Well, I'm hoping I will do as well as you. I've been reading a lot of your books to research. So.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, holler at me anytime. Just message me. I mean, what I don't know, I'll make up.
There you go. As long as it works, I don't care.
Can't make things up, ladies. We have to do a careful research. Right. It's one of the things I hit every week.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Things up.
But the fun thing is, yes, there are a lot of rules in Regency. And yes, I try to incorporate that. I try to give the whole verisimilitude of the period. But then rules are made to be broken, especially if you're a duke. Kind of makes his own rules.
Well, you know, if you're a duke, you can do the duke does what the duke wants.
There you go.
Yep.
Would you be the duke?
Another good tagline.
Cerise, I'm excited about the matrimony series. I was so excited when I put the Publishers Marketplace announcement up for that one. I thought, oh, this sounds like so much fun. So
yes, thank you. I think it's going to be a series that I can incorporate so many aspects: humor, suspense, mystery, and bring in other people who are not old aristocracy. The first hero that I'm working on is a Viscount, but he comes from a family of mill owners who have done who have profited. And I've been doing a lot of work on my own ancestry, and we come from, yes, we come from a family of Hammonds, Hammonds, and Curtises and Fletchers from the Yorkshire area and West Riding. So I have looked up my great, great, great grandfather, who comes from Bradford and a small village called Eccles Hill. And I have incorporated them into the story. So I'm getting lots of verisimilitude. Is very gratifying, because the ancestry.com work is very personal, and I knew we came from Yorkshire on my English side. My paternal side is German, but my maternal side is from Yorkshire, because we ate good pasties at home and very good shortbread.
Shortbread is my favorite.
Yes, and wonderful mince pies and Yorkshire pudding. So I have to put all that good stuff. I like to cook. I leave this office every night, and I go downstairs, and my husband says my hair is on fire. I close my office doors and I go downstairs and rattle pots and pans and do things, So it's my decompression, as well as good wine, One needs a good wine. So I get to incorporate some different kinds of heroes. Heretofore, I've done dukes and earls and Duke of Earl and like you do, but and I've stayed in Bath, and I've stayed in Brighton, and I've stayed in London, and I know those very well because I've been there often. But now I'm really up in the north, and hoping to go there next fall, not this fall, but next fall. But and shaking hands with some long lost cousins, I hope.
That sounds delightful.
So neat.
It's great.
Yes. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm making up a few people. It's great fun.
Well, it sounds like great fun. Ladies, this was a delight to talk to you today. Even the extra furry bits and the and the noisy bits. It was so nice to talk to you. I will do the same thing that I do every week and make sure I put the links to the books, including Alexa's, in the chat so that you can find them. You always want to try and get Dragonblade books on pre-order or release week, because that's when they're the very best deal. This just isn't a better deal than that. And if you don't manage to get them on release week, our books release in Kindle Unlimited as well, so you can read free with your Kindle Unlimited subscription, which is, I have to tell you, I'm really loving mine now, because the bar to entry is like nothing. It's like, does it look interesting? Sure, it's mine. You know.
Yeah.
You don't even have to think about it. So I love that.
Yeah.
But ladies, thanks again so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Bye, everybody.
We'll see you next week, same time.
Bye.